Welcome to the online application video. Before we get started on your application, make sure you've completed the following steps. Step 1. You should have printed the application checklist and gathered all of the information and checked each item off of the list. Step 2. You should have read through the Tips for Using the Social Security website document, which is available in the resource section. Make sure you've completed each item on the application checklist before continuing on. There are a few ways to apply for disability, but the fastest and easiest way to file your claim is online at Social Security's website. You can gather all of the information you'll need before you start the application. It is much less stressful to have everything organized and ready before you begin. You can work at your own pace and take as much time as you need to think about your answers before you enter them. In this video, we'll go through the online application step by step. Social Security is looking for specific information, and they want you to present it in a very specific way. Before you begin your application, please watch this entire video. It will give you everything you need to present your claim to Social Security in the best way possible, which will greatly increase your chances of being approved. We recommend having the course open and this video available as a reference on a separate page from your online application. This will make it easier for you in the event you have questions. You can pause the online application and watch this video before moving on. Let's get started. The first thing you will need to do is log on to the Social Security website at www.socialsecurity.gov. At the top of the screen near the middle is a tab labeled Disability. Click on that tab. On this page, you'll see directions on how to file your claim. In the first video, you printed the checklist and you should have gathered all of the information and checked each item off of the list. Note: if you don't complete all of the steps, your claim will not be filed and it will stay in a pending status until you complete everything. The second step is to complete the online disability benefits application. This step will provide Social Security with the information they need regarding your eligibility for benefits. RepresentMyself.com will walk you through how to complete the online application with special focus on the areas where people often make mistakes. We'll show you what you need to pay special attention to so you don't make mistakes which can hurt your claim. Often, it's not what you answer, but how you answer these questions that will make a difference between being approved and being denied. So, we share tips on the best way to answer questions and give you examples to follow. If at any point you need to pause or stop working on your online application, Social Security will issue you an application number. This will allow you to sign back in and complete the application at a later time. Social Security needs to know if you're applying for yourself or for someone else, and whether or not you're blind or visually impaired. Select the appropriate answer and then click on the tab Apply for Benefits. The identification section of the application deals with applicant identification, contact information, birth and citizenship, your application number, and additional information. The contact information page is important because Social Security will need to contact you periodically during the process of your claim. If Social Security is unable to contact you, they will not be able to get the information they need from you, and your claim may be denied. At the bottom of this page, you'll be able to let Social Security know what language you prefer. Social Security will make every effort to have a person who speaks your language contact you for any further information. This is a very sensitive and emotional period for you and your family, and you want to make sure that you understand everything Social Security needs from you. On the birth and citizenship page, you will need to tell Social Security if you are a U.S. citizen and where you were born. You'll need to prove your citizenship by submitting a birth certificate to Social Security. If you do not have a certified copy of your birth certificate, please refer to the resource section for instructions on how to obtain one. On the following page, Social Security will issue your application number. Print this page and file this with your disability documents in a folder. If you lose this number and have not completed the application, you'll have to start the process over. Social Security employees do not have access to these application numbers. On the next page, you'll need to tell Social Security if you have any additional names or Social Security numbers. You have now completed the identification section. The next section is called General, which deals with family details, military, earnings, and when to start benefits. There are several parts of the family details section you'll need to pay close attention to. The first is regarding your current and prior marriages, if any. If you have never been married, you'll be able to continue. If you are or have been married in the past, you'll need to answer additional questions before you can save and continue. When answering questions regarding your current and prior marriage, you'll need the following information for each: spouse or ex-spouse name, Social Security number. Do you know spouse's date of birth? Date of marriage, city and state of marriage, marriage type. For any previous marriage, you'll also need to provide how the marriage ended, divorce, annulment, death, as well as the date, city, and state where the marriage ended. Be as accurate as you can. If you're not exactly sure of the dates, you can put an approximate one. However, you will need to explain that these are just approximate dates at the end of the application in the remarks section. Remember that you'll be able to answer most of the questions in the application on your own. This video is a tool to help you focus on the areas where people often make mistakes so you can successfully submit your online application. Now let's move on to the Other Benefits section. It covers benefit information, disability questions, ability to work, disability payments, dependents, and authorization. You'll be asked about your disability and your ability to work. Make sure you list every illness, injury, or condition that limits your ability to work. List all of your diagnoses from your doctors, not just the ones you think are relevant. It's important that this list be as detailed as possible. Don't lump any of them together. They must be listed separately, starting with the most disabling. For instance, if you have diabetes and symptoms related to diabetes, such as numbness in the hands and/or feet, known as neuropathy, severe headaches, vision problems, and fatigue, you should list these as 5 separate conditions. Make sure all the diagnoses are listed even if you do not feel they are relevant. A combination of diagnoses can add strength to your claim. At the end of the online application is a remarks section. Enter any explanations here for approximate dates of unknown answers from your application. If you are not sure about a marriage or divorce date, please explain that answer here. This section is to explain any answer that may not be perfectly clear from your application. The final step in the application is a review and submit page. Social Security will summarize your complete application on this page and give you the opportunity to make any changes to the information before you submit it. Make sure you review this page closely. If there is any information that is incomplete, you'll see a note on your review form in red, and you must correct those areas before you can submit the form. You may also print this summary page for your records. After you submit your online application, you'll have an option to save and continue with the next step later, or you can begin to fill out the Adult Disability Report. In this part of the video, we'll show you how to fill out and complete the Adult Disability Report online. You should have printed the form before you started this video. However, you can pause this video and print a copy from the resource section now. The Adult Disability Report contains 5 sections: identification, medical, work, education, remarks, and review. Take your time and answer the questions in detail. You'll use this information to complete the online Adult Disability Report. The first page is general information that Social Security needs from you in order to determine if you can file this portion online or whether it would be better to speak with a Social Security representative. Once you've completed this section, Social Security will assign you a re-entry number that's used to access only the online Adult Disability Report. This number is different from the application number you were previously given. Make sure you print this page and file it with your other disability documents. After you get your re-entry number, the next page asks you to fill out information about a contact person. Give the name of someone other than your doctor's Social Security can contact who knows about your medical conditions and can help you with your claim. The next section is called Medical Conditions. It covers conditions, doctors, hospitals and clinics, tests, medicines, and other records. You'll be asked to list all of your medical conditions, both physical and mental, illnesses and/or injuries, in the spaces provided. You'll need to include all conditions, including any learning disability that would interfere at all with your ability to work. You can list 10 conditions, and if you need more room, you'll be able to add more later in the remarks section. The next section is where you'll tell Social Security about the doctors and healthcare professionals you've seen about your disability. You will need to add each doctor separately. Fill in the name of the doctor and the clinic where they work. Complete the contact information, including address and phone number. You'll need to list your first, last, and next scheduled visit if you have one. If the doctor has ordered tests, you'll need to list each test and the dates they were performed. Next, enter the name and reason for each medication you're taking from that doctor. In the next section, you'll have the chance to explain to Social Security what medical conditions were treated or evaluated by this doctor. You can write a more detailed description of how your disability affects your daily life in the remarks section, which comes at the end of this report. The next section is where you'll provide the information on what medical treatment you received from this doctor. Next, you will be asked to list the hospitals and clinics where you've been treated. If there are any tests or medications that you have not previously listed, you can click on that section and add anything additional. If there is any other place that would have your medical records, such as a school or rehabilitation facility, you can list them here. The Work Education section is next. This section covers 3 different topics. 1. When your work became affected by your disability. 2. What your 5 most recent jobs are. 3. Your level of education and training. There will be a question asking if you are currently working. Once you answer the question, you'll be directed into the section about your work activity. You will need to add when you stopped working and the reason why. Next, you'll be directed to the job history section. You'll need to fill in the title, type of business, start date and end date, month and year, days and hours per week that you worked, and the rate of pay. Do not skip any of this information. Don't overstate job responsibilities or work experience. If you do, it could negatively affect the outcome of your claim. It's a natural instinct to present your work history in the best light possible, and we often exaggerate. Remember, this is not a job interview. You must think of it as the opposite of a job interview. What you need to do is be honest, but to understate, not overstate your experience. Let's take a look at a real-life example. Sally worked as a receptionist and occasionally printed and mailed letters for her boss. Instead of stating in her job history that she was a receptionist, she said she was an administrative assistant. Do you know what happened to Sally? Social Security determined that she had developed skills as an administrative assistant that could transfer to many other jobs, and her claim was denied. Just remember that less is more when describing your work history. Don't claim you can do more than what you really can do. The next section is about your education and training. You'll be asked to enter the highest grade of school completed and the year completed. You must enter the year completed in order to continue. Again, if you're not sure of the date, enter a date to the best of your knowledge. If you can't remember the date of your high school graduation, the average age of a high school graduate is 17 years old. You'll be asked if you had any special training, trade, or vocational school. Special training does not include on-the-job training at your uncle's flower shop and anything other than formal training from a recognized organization or school. Keep your answers short and to the point, and don't overstate anything. If you choose yes on any of the questions, you must explain those answers to Social Security. The next section is for remarks. You may enter any additional information that you feel Social Security will need in order to make a decision. Here are a few examples of what could be included in this section. If this is a psychiatric case, include any symptoms that you may have, like paranoia, you're afraid to go outside, you cannot be in crowds, or you have feelings of suicide or have made a suicide attempt. If this is a physical case, you can include things such as the use of a cane, inability to complete activities of daily living such as cooking, cleaning, shopping, showering, due to your pain or limitations. Understand that there are many other people applying for benefits, and you'll need to make yourself stand out from the rest. Show Social Security what it's like to walk in your shoes. Please include any and all the symptoms or limitations that you may have. We have given you a detailed explanation of a person diagnosed with diabetes. It's important to take the time and explain your symptoms to give Social Security a complete picture of how your disability affects your daily life. For example, I was diagnosed with diabetes 6 years ago, and my doctor put me on insulin 1 year ago, in October 2010. At least 3 days a week, I wake up with very low blood sugar, a severe headache, blurred vision, and fatigue. About 4 months ago, I noticed that my blurred vision was lasting all day, and I've developed tingling and numbness in my hands and feet. Even with the insulin, I've had a great deal of difficulty controlling my blood sugar throughout the day. As a result of my diabetic condition, I must avoid extreme heat and cold. I seem to always tire easily, and I can't walk more than 40 yards before I have to rest for 5 to 10 minutes. I also find that when I stand for more than 10 minutes, my feet grow numb and I can't feel them. I can sit for about 30 minutes, but I have to stand up and move around every 5 minutes to keep my circulation moving. At least 3 times a day when my blood sugar is low, I become disoriented and then have difficulty speaking. My social activities are very limited, and I find that I'm becoming more and more depressed and anxious over my diabetes worsening, and I frequently experience anger fits and crying spells. You must also include an explanation of any dates that you were not absolutely sure of. Any dates that are not exact must have an explanation so Social Security does not assume that you are being misleading by not having a correct date. The next step in the application is a review page. Social Security will summarize your complete adult disability report on this page and give you the opportunity to make any changes to the information before you submit it. Make sure you review this page closely. If there's any information that's incomplete, you'll see a note on your review form in red, and you must correct those areas before you can submit the form. Print the review page for your records. The final section is where you will print the cover sheet, print, sign, and date the medical release form, and electronically submit the disability report. There will be instructions about how to mail the appropriate forms to your local Social Security branch office. Here are some general tips and suggestions to help you through this process. Don't get frustrated and give up. If the process becomes overwhelming, you always have the option to log off and come back to the application or adult disability report at a later time using your application or re-entry number. Do not forget to print the application and re-entry numbers. If you do not have these numbers, you will not be able to log back in and continue where you left off, and you'll have to start the process over from the very beginning. Always be truthful in your answers. Do not overstate your abilities or understate your limitations. However, when you're answering questions about your disability, concentrate on how you function on one of your bad days. It's important that you focus on what you are no longer able to do. Obtain any medical records you can and submit a copy of them along with your paperwork to Social Security. Social Security will attempt to obtain your medical records based on the information you've given them, but they're more likely to have a complete set of records if you supply them with one. Never send Social Security any form, medical record, or any type of documentation without making and keeping a copy for yourself in your files. Make sure you complete the application and adult disability report. Continue until you reach the Submit button and click on it. Your application is not complete until you click the Submit button, and Social Security will not start processing your claim until your application is complete. Congratulations! You're now done with the application. Contact Social Security within 7 days to confirm they have received your application and all of the backup documentation. In the next section, we'll show you what really happens behind the scenes at Social Security, and we'll give you practical advice about how you can influence Social Security's decision about your application.